Okay. Here we go then. So last stream, let's remind ourselves what we did. We voted on Carol's voice, which obviously isn't a real voice because we don't voice acting. But we voted for her, the sound effect she's going to make when her dialogue text bar comes up. And it was, everybody voted for the same one. It completely just smashed the other choices. So that was pretty cool. We only kept the poll open for a couple of hours because there was no way any other choice was going to catch up. And we then proceeded to do like a mood board because the next goal is to get some expressions done for Carol, because the next scene, well, main quest 1 and 2 are very Carol heavy. Like she's like the focus of the thing, especially at the very beginning, and there's an opportunity to create more emotions and expressions and a variety of sprite assets for her rather than just have her of the same one throughout the game. So that's why I made a mood board, so we could get some inspiration there. So we'll keep that up. I have a big note of all the things I've got to do here. There's a few little bug sections, little bits that need fixing. I don't tend to do those on stream because they can be pretty dull. So I purposely pick fun things to do on stream, and things that we can talk about and discuss, and anything that's going to be useful to like, you know, get ideas from the community. So it's kind of going to be handy today actually, because I've got some plans for Carol and the expression thing. We'll see how it goes. We're going to just experiment and see where it takes us. That's kind of what we're going to do today. I do want to have more story and world building streams though in the next week or so. I'm thinking I want to make a list of anything that could be handy to start world building in this world that's relevant to what's happening, that might be useful, because we still need to plan and write up the foundation of the other 4 main quests of episode 1, you see. That's something that's still ongoing and will have to be done. And I'm going to rename this to roadmap, because that's what it is really. Is roadmap one word? I think it is. So yeah, as you can see, like, I mean, this schedule's very rough. But there's a seasonal plan for releasing pre-alpha builds with an extra bit of content in each one, an extra main quest, until we finally have all 6 main quests done. So that's kind of a thing. So we've really been just focusing on main quest 1 and 2 and getting those implemented and getting the scenes done for them, but then we've still got to consider what's coming next. So definitely expect some story and world building streams in the coming weeks. We've been very much focusing on scenes and animations lately, and just glowing up what we've already done, making it better and more awesome looking and sounding. I really like the recent ideas of the last couple of weeks to add talking animations and the letter sound voices. I think that's added a lot. I've done some test plays and it's really exciting to see the scenes. I was going to do a screenshot Saturday this weekend, but I backed out because it isn't quite ready. There's a few things that I'm like, no, that might change, so we'll hold off a little bit longer till we start posting. And like I said, there's a few little bug bits here to sort out, which I do those things off stream. And yes, so scene 3 and getting the foundation for scene 3 down is kind of what we're doing right now, because these particular bullet points here, the Carol related ones, do the expressions for Carol, the hop animation, finish the scene. Really, the scene itself I don't think is going to be as ambitious to pull off as scene 1 was with at the beginning. I think looking at the dialogue flow we've got, it's quite dialogue heavy with lots of dialogue from Carol, but there's not like too many ambitious animations going on other than the Carol expressions and things. So I thought we could spend a bit of time just getting working on that. And scene 1 is like so close to being done now. And there's a couple of little bits and bobs to do. I think we're at a stage where, you know, it'd be useful to do that. So that's what we was doing at the end of last stream. We just got some images, Google images things, and we're going to look at those to get some cool variety of expressions for Carol. What have we got here? Oh, thank you, bots. The bots have retweeted me as they always do. Okay, so let's hide. No, why are we hiding that? We need Photoshop up, that's what we need. Hi, Carol. Okay, so there's going to be a bit of a shock. I hope you're prepared, chat, because there's something that I'm going to be there's a layer or two here that are hidden at the moment that hasn't been revealed just yet, but I'm about to hide the layer. I'll give you a little bit of a summary of what it is first. Okay, so Carol. One thing I've been thinking of right now, this isn't a certainty yet. As you can see in our live tweet, we've titled it "Might Give Carol the Barrel a Glow Up," we'll say, because I'm not sure. I want to experiment and see what we end up with. Because I attempted doing these expressions over the weekend while I was like planning out scene 3 and doing it. And I was like, you know, it's actually really difficult to pull it off on the current Carol we have, because her face is kind of low res. I don't know if that's the right term, but look at the where's it hiding? There. This is another face that we've got. This is Sue. I forgot her name now, but it's Kindle Trash's character, the one who's going to own the chain of brothels in the game. This is a human face. Well, when we worked on the sprites early this year or end of last year, was it, around Christmas time, we've glowed up all our community characters. We gave them different eye sets and just made them look more unique and distinct from each other, and their face like kind of has the same template. They have eyes that are in that position that take up how many pixels? 7 pixels wide and 6 pixels wide. No, 5. Yeah, 7 by 5 or something for the eyes, and there's like a gap of 5 pixels in between, and they've got a little nose there, and she's got the mouth there. Not everybody has lips, by the way. This character has lips because she's glamorous. She's very glam, and obviously Carol is the lipstick too. But a lot of the NPCs, as you can see walking across, don't have the lipsticks. Hi, Divine Dribs, how you doing today, Sal? Hope you're having a fantastic, I was about to say Monday, but I don't stream on Mondays anymore. Even I'm still getting used to this. And and then we comparing this human face to Carol, we could get a few human faces up actually. Let's get the rose one up as well, the violet one up as well, should I say. I just didn't have a habit of calling her rose. Now this Carol in comparison is much smaller, the space we have to work with. She's 5 pixels, well, her eye area, the actual white bit of the eye area is 3 by 3 pixels compared to 5 by 4 pixels, not for every other character. So I was thinking of giving her a bit of glow up, making her face in proportion as the same as the other NPCs. Now this is a big question mark, because we might do this and absolutely hate how the new glowed up Carol looks, and we might not be into it. So it's just an experimentation, because you never know, it could be great. But the main purpose of doing this and giving her this little feature change is so that we've got more room for being ambitious with her expressions, because there's not much to work with the low res Carol that we've got here. It's hard to like get any her eyes are facing left here, and I always liked that look, because it's like she's really glaring at you, but you can't even centre her eyes. They only go left or right, so that's another thing that it makes it difficult. Whereas this one, there's plenty of room with this larger eye to shift the eye facing left or right, which is great. There's just more room for getting more out of the sprite, more space. Doing some morning editing. Got a kink in my neck this morning, must have spelt funny, so need to be stretching it a lot more. Yes, need to do stretching. I need to do that too, Silent. It's a good job you mentioned this, because I'm feeling a little bit stiff, but that's very normal, with us all being in lockdown. And even when it's not lockdown, I'm the same, but I'm kind of very keen on becoming doing some exercises more often, getting into that. It's a good sign that you're willing to change art assets instead of just sitting for the first versions. It really demonstrates a desire to achieve the best possible quality one can. Yeah, thank you for the encouragement, Salon, and the awesome kind words, because it's just where the last few months in particular, not even the last few months, this has been since about August last year, like the summer of 2020 was the time when I started to think, let's give this whole game a giant glow up. Because in August, that was when I made the decision to overhaul the Everbloom Forest and switch to tile sets, and I completely there wasn't much of a change visually with the Everbloom Forest. I kept the mapping the same and the overall look, but I did make everything look somewhat better just a touch, and started using an external software tool for the mapping, and didn't limit myself to just RPG Maker. So that was when I started really getting ambitious with it. And then from there, I was like, let's just make the sprites a bit better. Let's make them a bit taller and a bit more detailed. And then after that, it's been, let's make their mouths animate when they talk. And then it's been like, let's add some sound effects to them when they talk. So we're slowly just making it more have a bit more of a professional and make it better looking at basically, and a better quality game. That's kind of we haven't really made much progress content wise lately. It's all just been about improving what we've got. Hi Tetsu, thank you so much for the 38 months. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. That is such a long time, Tetsu. I super appreciate the support. Let's have some hype in chat. How are you doing, Tetsu? I hope you're having a fantastic week. How have you been? And yeah, when you talked about buttoning down to the next level, yeah, so that is really the reason why the Steam coming soon page and first playable demo have been held off a little, because I'm kind of I'm not going to launch the Steam page now so everyone can see the old assets. So I'm kind of we'll wait till we've got the glowed up screenshots, and then it'll be ideal. And I don't think, I'm still planning for a March Steam page launch and a May, and very end of May perhaps, first playable demo build. So we're still set for the spring, which was our initial target anyway, so it's not too much later. But if anyone does want to see our roadmap, it is here on our Trello page. !Trello is where you can get a closer look. And I've kind of laid out here what the plan is. The little emojis represent seasons, just so in case you don't know. And the first part of things is getting the main quest down, the foundation. We're not so much thinking of the fluff and the features and side quests initially. That's going to be the extra stuff that we build on top of the foundation of the main quest afterwards. And by main quest, I mean just episode 1's main quest, not the entire saga's main quest. Just the first 6 main quests that are going to be on in episode 1. There might be a consistent pattern of 6 main quests per episode, we'll see. But like I say, we don't think too deeply about the coming episode 2 and episode 3 just yet, because they're like separate games with themselves. Just about roots and rumours first of all, and getting that awesome as it can possibly get. So we're the most excited we can be for the next part of the saga when it's finally out. Yes, expect story, planning and world building streams again a little in the coming weeks, folks, because I especially love doing those on streams, and I think more than ever stream time is going to be about discussions regarding story, world building, and anything that's, we've been doing a lot of animation and art assets lately and scene work, but it's been useful because we've had feedback from you guys, and we've done polls like which ones you prefer out of this one and which sound, and that's why I sometimes like doing the asset streams, because then we can divide on our favourites. So they'll always exist too, and they're nice and chill to do sometimes as well, which is what we kind of doing that today and this week. But there's going to be a lot of cool things to talk about regarding building the world itself, which I think is always cool to discuss on the stream, so that'll be coming up as well. Doing okay yourself? Not too bad, Tetsu, not too bad at all. Just being my normal hermit self. It's like the old meme of a guy that goes to replace the light bulb, but the cupboard with the toolbox's door is broken and there are no screws. But when he goes into the car to get more screws, the door is creaking and he goes to oil it, but the oil storage area is covered in mouse poop, so he goes to the vacuum, but it's full and he empties the vacuum in the bin. But oh my gosh, Defined Dreams wants me to become a narrator. I could totally read that as an audio book and everybody would love it, wouldn't they? Hi Chub Cheese, how are you doing? It's good to see you today. How are things going? How was your week? So, I wanted to just update you guys on how the current roadmap's looking. Not really changed much, really, and here's my list of things to do. And there's a lot to do, a lot of boring things on this list to do, so we're going to do the fun things today. We're going to focus on this part. So, back to expressions for Carol, everybody. That is what today is all about. We're going to figure out if Carol needs a glow up, everybody. And if we're probably going to create a few different variations of this glow up. And we'll put up a poll so you guys can vote on your favourite Carol version. And it's just going to be a face that gets a glow up, by the way. That's what it's going to be about. And this, the OG Carol, this one here, will probably get added to the poll as well, we'll say. In case some, we kind of like, actually OG Carol is the best, let's just keep it. But I think I want to just try and see what Carol will look like if we do make her facial proportions more similar to the rest of the characters, because it's gonna, I'm not gonna lie, it's very tricky to get a good animation, a good detailed animation out of current Carol. And of course, if we go with a glowed up Carol with like larger eyes and stuff, then we will do the same for the other barrel sprites too, so that they don't look weird. Oliver, of course, will remain the same because he's a child and he has like the ooh face, so obviously he has to have a smaller face. But it's mainly the the other barrels, so they can be consistent. And I think Woody's face is kind of close to human proportions anyway. He's kind of got slitty slanty eyes, so I don't think he'd change too much. But his eyes just might widen by a pixel or something. It'd probably be a small change. How are you going to be mostly lurking? Awesome, Chub, I super appreciate the lurk. Thank you, and I'm not doing too bad. Alright, so I hope you're all prepared for this, everyone, because I have had a little experiment of what a Carol the barrel would look like if she looked more like these. So hopefully it's not too nightmare fuelish for you, but this is just the first version. This one I'm about to reveal. We're gonna do a few. We're gonna just play around and see what we come up with, and if it turns out there's loads of different faces and we don't know which one to pick, then we'll put it up on a poll or something and see who can vote for the best Carol. She's got to look perfect. She's got to be a waifu barrel after all. That's what she is. So what I am going to do is probably make a new Photoshop file perhaps, so that we don't like have, it's going to get all confusing if we see all these assets next to them. So I'm going to copy this image and delete that one. Okay. So here is Carol. Now, I've given the mouth's the exact same as Carol here. It's just moved down by 1, I think. I think we need to just fit in this because there's a bit of grey barrel that needed adding that got chopped off. So her mouth has just been moved down by 1 pixel just to allow that extra room for the nose and the eyes. And I've added a little brown pixel just above the lips that is meant to represent her nose. I'm going to also copy these guys because I want to have our human faces here as references. We might add another few at some point, but these will do for now. I've got Kindle Trash's character because she's got a lipstick on and Carol also has lipstick, so whereas I wanted to also compare it with a character who's not got lipstick on. Okay, so are you ready?
Mistress Rainblood.
So this is Carol with eyes in the proportion of these guys. Now her eyes are a little bit more angry shaped than these two, obviously, because she's an angry barrel. Now this is just our first version, so I'm going to put a caption saying that. Get some smaller text. version. Well, it's actually version 2 because we've got OG Carol, haven't we? So we'll get her in still. What is going on with this text? Why is it so like... messed up looking? It's either blurry or pixelated. Wow, Photoshop. Does anyone know what's going on? I've never known the text look so blurry. I mean, if I have it on sharp, crisp, strong, smooth, they all look dreadful. And if I have it on none, it ends up looking really like pixelated, which probably looks better than the others. But I know that it's not meant to look like that. It's never looked like that before, but I'm going to just pick a different font that actually looks nice in pixels so that it don't look too bad. Ew. That'll have to do. I'm going to get rid of the grid off for now. Hi Richard, how is it going? So good to see you. Let's get an actual background. Colour it in grey or something. It might look a bit nicer like that. Oh, for gosh sake. Okay. Oh wow, I can spell really. Mistress Rainblood. Thank you so much for the 18 months. That's a whole year and a half. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate that. Give that hype to Richard. How's it going? How have you been, Richard? Now, let's get OG Carolyn as well. As our version 1. And as a reminder for anyone coming in, if anyone's curious what we're doing here, we're looking at potentially giving Carol Barrel a glow. I say potentially because we don't know for sure yet, but we want to experiment and see. Reason being is because currently the goal has been to do expressions for Carol, surprised ones, angry ones, all the Sunday emotions that are perfect for Carol basically. And I have been finding the current version of Carol very challenging to bring variety to, due to the lack of room, the small area that of pixels that she has. She never had human proportions for her face. None of the barrels did. Which I don't know why they didn't, but they never did. Probably because I thought, well, they're not humans anyway, so it doesn't matter. It was no big deal. But it's worthwhile as time's going on to kind of see if it could be better if they did have human proportions, just because if we want to be ambitious and give them different variety of animations, it's just gonna be way easier if we have larger eyes for more expression, potentially. So who knows how many versions we'll end up having. We could end up having 10 for all we know by the end of the stream. And if we do, we'll have a poll. We might, you never know, we might find that we absolutely just adore one version over the other unanimously and we all agree on it on stream. And then we might not necessarily need a poll, but we'll see how it goes. I have been very silly, and I put the layer of the barrel on the background, so I'm gonna have to copy and paste a new one. And I'm going to say here, just so we know, peeps know what on earth these are, we will references. There we go. I might write a little paragraph at the top, so folks coming in can understand what's going on. I don't know what to say. We will align it left. So what we're doing, we are experimenting with different versions of Carol. The barrel. We have to keep it on 16 points because it gets distorted. Might do a part for this later. Okay, so we're gonna have to bring these down because they're getting squished. Okay. So I would like to have a few variations and do a part that would be ideal. Now we got to get the barrel back, so I'm going to do is just copy our base. Probably the best thing to do. Move that there. Barrel body. I'll name that layer so I don't get confused and forget. I should name my layers more often. The version 2 eyes. Okay, so it's all organised a bit better now. There. Okay. This is going to be fun. It is very strange seeing Carol look different to how we've always seen her, but it's well worth seeing what we can have. So lips, we need the trademark lips for Carol. That's absolutely out of the question to not have those. So I'm going to just copy those, and we will get rid of the barrel wood part. Now I need to get them in the right position, which, looking at this one, center of the bottom bit. Yeah, that looks like the ideal position. These eyes. Well, this is where we need our reference images. In all honesty, it's probably smarter to put them side by side. We can get proportions correct. So let's just moving down one. No, actually, probably more like that. So where's that brown nose? Hi Zayas, who's your secret lover? Confess to us, we're very curious. Tell us the gossip. No, that's a bit dark. What colour did we have originally for? You wish. I'm a committed woman. There. Now that's subtle because if it's too dark, it's a little bit. So I prefer the noses to not stand out too much. So there. I think that's okay. So let's put that one back Well, too bad. Okay. So we're gonna, instead of messing about with that one further, we'll copy and paste. And we'll do a new one, a brand new one. And we'll see how that one will compare to the version 2. Liking how version 2 is looking high. Yes, it is HD, Carol. There's a clear difference, like if we compare them. She just, there's just more space, isn't there? There's more detail in the eyes, and really that is the main reason I'm doing this, so that when we do the Carol expressions, which we did the mood board for last stream, we'll have just more, like, you know, more room, and there's more possibilities. I was actually surprised by how hard it was to animate this one, but it's no surprise because there's very little room to kind of work with here. Like, I can't even center the eyes. Either they're left or right. So Carol's only looking at you that left ways or right ways. So when we're in a scene and she's facing in front of us, it's like, well, it's kind of weird looking to have her eyes in that position. So it's gonna, I think we're on the right track of experimenting with different Carol versions, and the goal is to keep her as a waifu. We gotta make sure she's waifu material still, because I mean, Carol's the MVP romance of the entire game, right? So I don't think version 2 is bad at all. I'm not 100% sure of I mean, to be honest, I was thinking of something to pick on, but I think, you know, that one could work, and that's nothing to prove. So it's going good. Now let's take it further and see what else we can end up with. You never know, version 3 onwards could be absolute nightmare fuel and horrendous, but we're doing it. We're just going all out with different variations today. And maybe there'll be a poll. It all depends on how many versions we get and how many we like, and how torn we are to pick between them. If that's the case, then we will be, of course, doing a poll. But if it's a situation where we're like, oh no, yeah, we all love that one, we're gonna have to just go for that one. We'll go for it. We'll see where we end up. Okay, so I'm going to just copy version 2 Carol, and we're gonna like edit her. I'm curious what Carol without teeth would look like, so I mean, that smirk, that actually worked. It kind of looked a bit like a smirk in a way, didn't it? So there's a potential expression we could get out of that, but for this we're looking at her default sort of angry looking face. Hi Van, how you doing? It's good to see you. Welcome to the stream. We are potentially giving Carol a glow up. That is what we're doing today, as explained here. We're going to just get out of it a bunch of different versions and go for the one we like most. And version 1 will be included in that. I feel like it's only fair to have OG Carol included in the options, but in all honesty, going for a more HD Carol with human proportions is going to just kind of be easier for us when it comes to doing her facial expressions. I like the new versions better. Good to hear positive feedback. Ross Emerald liked him as well, so that's great. It makes me feel like I'm making the right decision, because this was a decision I only decided this weekend. I was having an experiment working on scene 3, and I was having a little go of doing Carol's angry expressions that we have on our mood board here, because Carol's so, expressive. She's such a emotional character. We gotta have a range of faces for her, absolutely no question of that. And as I was doing them, I was thinking it's actually really difficult to animate this face, because it's just, there's so little pixel area. Even these current eyes can only either look left or right. I can't even centre them in the middle. So that was ultimately what made me make the decision that we're going to experiment with different face versions for Carol. And this version too was based on the faces of our current female characters, with the same proportions. We've even given her the little nose now that she didn't have before. She was a noseless barrel. So it's kind of just more she looks more like a human does now. In fact, you could easily put this face on a human head and you'd see the human version of Carol, right? And which is great, because it's more consistency with the art. Then we're keeping more consistent, so it's a win-win all through. And hi Asriel, how's it going? So good to see you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Busy with work this morning, but I'm sort of here. I'm still trying to get used to Tuesday, Thursday schedules. I dive into a real live streaming. No worries, it will take a bit of time for the community to get used to. That's absolutely understandable, because it's always been Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a very long time. That is kind of what it's been, so it's very natural to be like, oh yeah, Rose is, forget that I'm streaming, but it's it will get there for sure, because this schedule's working very well for me now, and I'm finding the 2-day-a-week thing really, really, really good. I think it's only going to help the project and myself in many ways. And I was saying a little bit earlier before we got into doing the asset work today that we'll be getting into some world building and story streams again in the coming weeks. It's the focus has been animations and visuals and scenes for a while, which of course I always like to stay relevant on what we're working on now. That's really important. But there's always an opportunity to do relevant world building streams as well, and obviously start thinking of the story from Main Quest 3 onwards as well. So we've got the outline there ready to jump into as soon as the first build is finished. And then we can start working on version 0.2, which will include Main Quest 3, quite fast, without being like, well, what's going to happen next? Because we'll already sort of know. So I'm going to make use more than ever of having streams that are very useful and discussion focused. Sometimes that involves art asset side of things, because there's always a chance to get community feedback on things like that, like what we're doing today. You guys will say which version of Carol you prefer, and same as the stream we had last, which was about the sound, the voice for Carol. That was really helpful as well, so we could know which voice to go for. So yes, and right, so let's experiment and see what we come up with. I do like the look of No Teeth Carol as well. Although there's not much difference between that one and this one, I feel like I still want to keep that there. But even if we end up going for teeth version Carol, this one would probably be used for certain expressions or certain poses anyway. Okay, so we will do a version 4 now, and we'll base that one on version 2 again, maybe. I'm quite happy. I was expecting version 2s to look nowhere close to our vision because of it being our first experiment. But surprisingly, I think she ticks the Carol boxes. She's got that angry face. Those slanty eyes give the angry face Sunday a look quite well for Carol. But I'm still very curious to experiment with different variations as well, even if some of the variations are very similar. And of course, as well, guys, just so you know, this means if we go for HD Carol, which we probably will, because I don't see why we'd go back to OG Carol at this point in time, considering we know that doing animations and expressions is going to be easier on this one. Plus, you guys, we've had peeps in chat today say they like it, so it's all positive so far with this direction. That means we will have to glow up the other barrels as well. Meryl, Hank and Elvira will have to have the larger eyes and human proportions as well, and have their HD versions too. Woody, I think, would, because he's a box, and I know his eyes were different. We gave him the sly looking sleazy salesman eyes. I don't think those eyes were too far off the proportions of what we gave some of our humans with the different expressions anyway, so he might only need a slight glow up, Woody. And as for Oliver, he's gonna stay the same because he's a child, and the children assets like that will naturally have smaller features if they're like toddlers and stuff. We're probably going to have plenty of baby and toddler characters in Raindrop Chronicles. I know that we've got a baby reptile coming up as one of our characters, and maybe they'll have Oliver's face a little bit. Could be just a variation of Oliver's face. But it'll be interesting to experiment and see what they look like. And you could use both one as a frame in the talking about. Yeah, that makes sense, because the talking animation with Carol has 4 different frames, and some of them have a teeth showing and some of them don't. So it could easily be part of the talking animation, and a still animation as well for certain poses. And Hank needs a larger nose. Yes, so now that we are including noses in the HD version, there's going to be, and there's plenty of space. We've got this area, this whole area here. And although I'm very subtle with the noses, I only make it a slightly darker shade of what their complexion colour is. I could easily see us doing something like this with Hank, just, making it a larger nose shape rather than the dot. And I think that would work great. I'm really, really glad that I decided to do this, because You know, OG Carol doesn't even have a nose. But it was mainly the eyes. It was mainly the eyes that I felt needed the change, because they're so very, very simple, these eyes are, compared to what the actual other characters' eyes are in the game. Like when you look at these two and all the others, the eyes are so detailed. Even the variation of eyes that we gave some of our NPCs, some of the different versions, even the sly looking characters still have much larger width than OG Carol. I think she looks quite waifu. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I think she's quite a stunner. She is though. Look at those lips. She's totally romanceable, right? She definitely looks like an angry lady, but that's Carol. Let's experiment more and see what we can get. I mean, I did do another variation I'm going to show you on this document, because I originally was experimenting on this sheet. I did that, but I thought these eyes looked way too innocent for Carol, personally, so I ended up like putting those away and going for those, changing them to those instead. And they're actually the same eyes that a few of our community characters have, some of the more fierce looking community characters, if you will. They're actually the same eye set. It works quite well. But these eyes, you never know, they could be used for another, it could potentially be Meryl or Alvira could have those eyes. I mean, Meryl would have much softer eyes than Carol, so potentially her. So I'm kind of like thinking, how else can we change this eye shape? Because we don't want to get rid of that slant, because that's really what gives her the angry sort of vibes that we're after. We don't want to lose those slanty eyes, because the more we start to round them, the more innocent and sweet she starts to look, like that version here. So the only other thing I can think that we could do is go a bit more on the eyebrows, alter them a bit maybe, but we could always add a couple of pixels here and there to see what a slight little variation in the eyes could do, like this. We could, I mean, I don't know how this would look. Just added 2 extra pixels there. What wonder that? I mean, it's such a subtle difference, but it just widens her eyes a little bit, makes them look a bit larger. And whether we prefer the ones that are less large is the question. I think I like them not to have the white marks on the edge, but it doesn't look too bad with the white marks there. But there's not really much of a difference, but we'll keep that variation there, because that didn't look too bad, just adding 2 pixels there. But they can start to look a little bit unnatural and a little bit like uncanny valley if I start to add too much white. Maybe you should save those softer features for when she's fallen in love. Yeah, that's the thing as well. It's an interesting thing to consider, because Carol's character arc is her going from angry, bitter, bossy, demanding, impatient character to someone who's going to mature and soften over the course of the story. Even if you don't romance Carol, there's still the option to have a very good friendship with her, so she could still soften even then, even if she doesn't necessarily fall in love, even if she just becomes a really, really good companion of yours. So that's interesting too. And I think we wouldn't want to vary the eyes too much because we don't want her to lose the Carol look completely, so she looks like another person altogether. But I think a slight edit of these eyes, just round them a touch, could work really well for like when she softens as a character, so they're not so slanty. And in fact, I kind of want to experiment with that and see what we come up with, because this isn't just about doing the different versions of Carol today, it's about like starting to experiment with the different expressions we can give her as well. So let's see what happens if we change the eyebrows a bit too. We'll start another version. And I don't want to like overwrite the current ones because it, you know, that looks quite decent, so it's worth keeping it there. But we'll see how she looks with a bit more wild eyebrows. Perhaps, I mean, these eyebrows I think work fine. They're dark, they're angry and black, just like Carol's eyebrows are. But we'll see what happens if we was to exaggerate them a touch, and it could work well as a very angry expression potentially as well. So, oops, wrong colour. She starts to not look as beautiful the more we do that, but which one of the must-haves is that Carol looks like a wife. She can't be hideous because then no one will want to romance her. So the differences from this to that, it's quite shocking, right? She definitely looks more angry, but it's also quite scary. Right? But these eyebrows work. They're not too much different from OG Carol's eyebrows. In all honesty, they're pretty much the same. So I'm tempted to keep them as they are. We might not even need a poll for this because I can't really see us getting too many like crazy different variations out of her at this point. We'd have to like completely change her look, and then she will no longer look like Carol. But we're still going to mess around and see what we come up with. We'll see what she looks like with her eyebrows raised. It's quite fun, you know, to like see. I love pixel art for that. Because just a few little changes of pixels and you've got a completely different expression and different face. That's an interesting one, because I feel like what that's done is make her look a little bit less hostile, the raising of the eyebrows, and that is actually what how the eyebrows should be positioned naturally. If we look at, say, this character here, these are the eyebrows, these ones at the top here, so there is actually a pixel gap by default in between the eyelid and the eyebrow. So that one works for Carol because that's kind of how you're supposed to look. Supposed to have a slight like a 1 pixel gap between eyelid and eyebrow. If we look at someone like who's got the angry face that we can look at, because I want to see how the angry eyebrows are positioned. Rex has them, but he's got a hat on, so we wouldn't see them anyway. Elite's character has those eyes. Yeah, so yeah, there's a 1 pixel gap. The only difference is Carol has slightly more pixels there. I think she's got an extra one there and there, and a couple of extra ones here. And that makes sense because Carol's trademark is kind of the dark, bushy black eyebrows, so it only made sense to add a couple more pixels there. But it really looks like she's super close to what the human faces are now in proportion to that. So we'll keep that one as well. Instead of calling these versions now, because I'm actually thinking it's unlikely we'll do a poll now at this point, because it's turned out that this Carol that we've done actually works great, and experimenting with the eyes, lips and eyebrows, all that will do is give her slightly different varied facial expressions, but won't change her up too drastically to look like a completely different person. And yeah, I'm kind of wary about changing her up too much now, because I know if we change her eye shape anymore, she'll just look too kind and too sweet. We'll just call that original, just to... That's the original. New. Lips. Not lips closed. No teeth. Or a mouth. Yeah, mouth closed makes more sense. I think I like the extra white eye pixel version, but I'm keeping both versions there still, because sometimes it's kind of good to like look a few hours later and then you're like, actually no, that one's better, but sometimes you need to refresh your eyes, and so if you look at anything for too long it can trick your eyes. So I don't like to make decisions without having time away from looking. So this version is less angry. Eyebrows raised, less angry Carol. Now I'm going to move these references up in the corner because they're getting in the way now. I'm going to want to start a new line, so I'm going to put the references here instead. Okay, so let's experiment then. Let's see what a slightly softer Carol looks like Van suggested. And of course, this Carol face wouldn't even see the light of day until like a time when a character arc has grown somewhat. So we'll call this one softer or far less angry. But we'll have to start thinking of the really angry ones in a sec, because early game Carol's going to be absolutely loaded with angry faces. Doesn't look too bad with those corners filled in. Just fills her eyelids up a bit and makes her look a little bit more pretty. A bit more glam. And I like Carol's eyes looking quite heavy at the top by her lids and brows, because that is very trademark Carol. Though, hang on, let's go back to how it looked. There we go. Oh yeah, I want to try this one. Let's see what her eyebrows look like if they're like super low down, and see how angry she looks then. Let me just check something with the proportions a minute. Oops. Hi Diver, how's it going? Barreling forward as always. Yeah, we are doing something really cool today. We're making a HD Carol. We are experimenting with different facial versions for her. We're making her eyes a bit larger and seeing how she looks so that she's more in proportion with an actual Sprite character, like the rest of the gang, like all the you guys here. We're seeing what her face looks like that, because you know she's not, you know, her features are quite small, and it's kind of difficult to animate them and get a lot of varied expressions out of such a small space. That's what I've been finding. I've had a little go at it and I've been quite stumped with this Carol, which has really been why I've been keen to explore different facial versions for her. And I think we could potentially get quite more out of this Carol. She's very different, but she looks pretty waifu. I think so anyway, if I may say so. I think she's looking like a bit of a waifu, which is the goal, because she's romanceable. Might change the colour of her cheeks so they stand out a bit more. That one's kind of blending a little bit. That one looks okay though, but we'll see. But yes, all the barrel crew will be having a glow up. We'll get a version of Alvia and Meryl and Hank and done when the time's right. So all these little decisions, all these little visual changes that we're doing, it's really a good job we haven't launched the Steam page just yet, because we'd have like all the old versions on there. So ultimately that's why I haven't been rushing too much, because I know that we got a few things to get polished. Hi Luna, how are you doing? So good to see you. I'm doing all right. Hope you've been good. How are things? And Met, thank you very much for the kind words. Who thinks she's beautiful? She's not everybody's type, I know, but I must say she's not too bad for a barrel. Doing great, thank you. Yay! I'm very curious what Meryl's gonna look like. I imagine she'd just have softer eyes than Carol, like more rounded eyes, and her eyes are blue. Carol's energy is very aggressive, so as long as this Sprite, she doesn't lose that essence, that Sunday angry lady sort of character that she's got, then I think we're doing okay. And I think this Sprite definitely feels, you can tell that she's angry, right? Barrel Chan is the cutest 10 out of 10 would date. Yay! She is. I'm very fond of her. I loved her anyway when she was the OG original character, but I think I'm falling for Carol a little bit more. But at least now we can make her eyes face the front, because that was really the biggest flaw of this one. Her eyes were either stuck looking left or stuck looking right. We couldn't centre them because there was only the space of 3 pixels to work with, so we could only either, and it made it kind of difficult. But in the early days when we created that Carol asset, you know, this project was like so much more casual back then. I didn't even think I would do different expressions of Carol back then, but we're going all out now, folks. We are. The last 9 months have been nothing but polishing, really, when you think about it. It's all been about improving the maps, improving the sprites, adding cool things. We've chatted a bit about world building and story here and there, though. Okay. What were we going to do? Oh yes, we were going to try a version with her eyebrows even lower, but I don't know how this is going to look, but I guess we only know. Oh no, what we were doing first was this. I'm losing track of what I'm doing. We were going to just compare her face proportions to make sure so that one looks perfect. So actually this one needs moving up just a touch, which, you know, the lower version could work as an expression for when she's angry, because usually angry people's faces scrunch up a bit, don't they? So I think when she's like super angry, maybe then, but we will just raise them by 1 pixel just for now. What has gone on with that face? there we go. There's 2 there. Fantasia, thank you so much for the 40 months. Wow, that is a special number, isn't it? 40 months. Thank you so much for the crazy and wonderful amount of support, Fantasia. Let's give some hype in chat. How you doing, Fantasia? Can't keep up when you stream. Yes, we recently changed the schedule, didn't we? So I've had quite a few folks come in and say that they forgot about the streams, which is absolutely fine. I'm not offended in the slightest, folks, because the schedule has recently changed, so it takes some getting used to. But this new schedule, it's working great for me, and I think it will be how things are for a long time now. The 2-day a week, Tuesday and Thursday are really cool days to do it because I get gaps in between. I get a 4-day weekend, which really allows me time to get stuff done as well as relax. That extra time now doing the 2-day week rather than 3-day weeks working out great for the project because it's going to allow me to get more content out at a more productive pace. The fact is, the more you stream, the slower your pace will be because it's really difficult to be in focus mode on stream. Not for everyone. Some people might be great at doing work on stream and game dev, but it's something I kind of struggle with. I need to really be in focus mode to get the game dev side of things properly. So streams tend to be a place for discussion and community thoughts and chatter and planning the direction of things and all those sorts of things, rather than just sitting here staring at a screen and working. I understand. Yeah. Well, you might in the future get used to my schedule, guys, once I've been doing it for a bit. That's all it'll be. But it's very normal to come in the stream on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday and think those are my days at the moment because it's habit. But I appreciate the support, Fantasia. Thank you so much for that huge amount of subs. You're one of our longest subs in the channel, so I hope you feel awesome. Super appreciate you guys being part of the streams for so long and being consistent with that support. You're amazing. You allow a little starving creative like me to at least get by a little bit while I'm following my dreams and passions. Okay, so what expression was this? Did we have a description? Don't think we did we? But what I'm going to attempt is to just bring the eyebrows down even more. I don't know if this face will work. It's just experimentation to see what we end up with. But I'm wondering if we get an even angrier face from it. But it might look terrible. We'll only know when we try. Because we're completely covering up her eyelids with this one, so it might not look right. But let's look. Yeah, I don't know whether that looks ideal, so I'm going to delete that one, but I think we can still do other things to make her look angry. There's some plans. Only because it covers the eyelids and not only that, but it sort of blends too much. The two black bits together make it look too heavy, the black part. And she loses how's it going today? Hi Rex, how are you doing? Sam, how are things? Are you shocked? Look, we got HD Carol. Shocking, right? If anyone wants an explanation for the purpose of why we've done a new carol, this is it. But mainly, the reason is because it's just easier to animate her. If we have more room to work with her features. This face was very tough to animate because it's very limited with the small space. So this face is actually, in case anyone didn't realise, is the exact same proportions as all the other characters in the game, which even got a nose now, a little tiny nose. The space in between the eyes is the same, the eye width and height is the exact same, and it's sort of positioned in a way that it's consistent with the rest of the cast. I want to try something then. I forgot. I thought maybe we could see what she'd look like if we... Yeah, I think she just needs that little bit of subtle line on the edge of her eye like the others do. And it kind of just makes her eyes look like they're in, you know, they're part of the barrel and not just stuck on there like a sticker. So... Rosie's barreling down on this pixel heart. Get it? Good pun, Silent. I actually got one for once. Hee. Wow, I like it. You do? You think she's a... Really, the purpose is, like, we don't... It's always very nerve-wracking when you change an asset that's been with us for so long that we've grown to like because we're used to it. But as long as she keeps the carol essence, like she's got the angry... Sundayer sort of energy, and she doesn't lose that, and it only enhances what the old one was, then we're on the right track, I feel. As long as we're improving it and not making it look worse. But we've had positive feedback so far from folks that have come in stream, so which is encouraging. I'm just giving her eyes a bit more depth now on each of the assets because that's what the other characters have. I'm gonna go with the one that does have the extra pixel, I think. So what we can do instead is move... Oh wow, what's going on here? We've got a ton of layers that shouldn't be there. So we'll just delete that, because I don't think we want to delete the layer, because then we'll delete stuff we shouldn't be. There was just a slight variation, you see, with the two versions. There's an extra pixel by the eye in the one that we've just copied and pasted that I think actually looks kind of cool on Carol, and widens her eyes a bit. We've got all the trademark things. We've got those thick, dark eyebrows, the heavy lids, the rosy cheeks, the lips are the same. I might mess about with that left cheek colour though. Follow age 3 years and 4 months. Oh my goodness. That is crazy. Sometimes I find it hard to believe that I've even been streaming for that long. Oh my goodness. Define Dreams is nearly a legendary raindrop once again. And Fantasia already is a legendary raindrop. To be a legendary raindrop, you need 1,000 raindrops in the stream. And that's what you need to be a character in the game. Originally it was only 500, but we increased the limit, didn't we? And I know we've still got Met's character to do. Met has a character on the waiting list. So, you know, in the coming weeks, expect us to get Met's character up, walking across the screen, doing a sprite for Met's character. Sala's always been legendary in our hearts. Very true, Rex. Numbers don't matter. It's about quality, not quantity, really. That's the truth. So what does everyone think of this new HD Carol? I want all these questions answered. Is she more romanceable now? Does she still look angry enough? Does she look better? All these questions. Raindrop sounds like a WWE finisher, yeah? Raindrops. I should rebrand. No, never. Okay, before we go on to just experimenting with more expressions, I'm gonna just pay a bit of attention to the cheek part, because that's the only part I'm not sure about just yet. Like, it's not very rounded. I don't know whether we should keep it more so it's rounded or have that extra pixel. I think it looks fine with the extra pixel. I don't mind at all. But maybe this one here needs to be a touch lighter so it stands out a bit more. I still don't think it stands out. 64, because Carol, we got to be careful with this recolour, because I think the pink cheeks are, you know, we don't want to change the colour too much, and they're great. There we go. That's probably a bit better. That might stand out a bit more. We'll try just a little bit. They were probably a little bit on the pale side originally. And you can barely see that one on the left. It sort of blends in a bit with the barrel complexion. I mean, we could even do it where she's got different cheek versions depending on her anger, how angry she's feeling, which brings up a whole other question. do Barrel's complexions change? Like, does their face get red when they get angry? Considering they're made out of wood, that is something to think about. I mean, realism wise, it's almost impossible. Wood doesn't change colour, but this is a living barrel here. So, and it's also a fantasy story, so we could do whatever we want and be wild and wacky. But it's an interesting concept to consider, because obviously we're made out of flesh, humans, and we naturally, the blood goes in our circulation system, makes us get rosy cheeked, and when we're angry and that, the blood flows. But barrels, so we've already said they don't have a digestive system. Carol doesn't need to eat or drink. The circulation system's interesting to think about, and what the rules are going to be with that, because barrels have come to life from a spell. They're not biological, so all this stuff is pretty fascinating. It'd be interesting to talk about the concept and how it would all work. And because we're talking about cheeks and her getting more red cheeks if she's angry, that is, it's brought up such a, it's made us maybe think all of a sudden about that. And I think it's nice if you want to change anything, maybe some highlights on the lips. Yeah, that's true. Give a little bit more definition to the lips. That's a really cool idea, actually. We could have a mess around with that. And she does look more like she might romance someone. There's something slightly seductive about her, even though she's a little bit angry. We normally think seductive about angry, but there's just something, she's a waifu. Let's just be honest. I guess one thing that the closed mouth moves in the upper lip instead of the lower one, which might not be right unless the open mouth is specially meant to be the upper lip raised in a sneer. Oh, so you're saying we should just raise it by a pixel or something? Matt, I'll have to reread that, but yeah, it's true. We have to think how that would work. We'll look at the closed mouth in a sec. I can't even remember what that asset looks like now. Barrels just red tape construction paper to their cheeks. LOL. But yeah, it's an interesting one, because we did get pretty deep into the lore in regards to how they survive. Like, do they eat or drink? No. Things like that. Also, what happens when they get hurt? They don't spew out blood or anything. They don't have blood. It would just be wood on the ground in pieces if they were to get killed. But the circulation system, it's a question mark. It's not, I don't know if it's an all-out no, unless there's a plot hole there. But the rosy cheeks, all I know is they add a lot to Carol's appearance. And it's great for an angry character to get rosy cheeks. Okay, so the closed mouth. Yeah, so it really should go up by one, right? I think the reason I actually I put it lower was because so there could be a gap in the nose, because the nose looks by default has a gap between the lip and the nose on Kindled's character, who's the only other character that has lipstick right now. It's like a sort of gap. So we'll see how she looks if we do move the lips up though, because it might look okay on Carol to look like that. Her lips are a little bigger after all, I think. Unless Kindled's are 3 pixels long as well. I'd have to look again. But because Carol's an angry character, it does make sense for his face to be somewhat scrunched up, right? Because when you're angry, your face tightens. Oh no, her lips are 2 pixels in length. So it's totally fine to make Carol's go close to the nose because her lips are thicker. So yeah, that's totally great. I think that makes more sense now, doesn't it, having it like that? And I think she looks fine like that. I think the scrunched up nose and mouth sort of make her gives the impression that she's in a mood and she's kind of feeling a bit angry. Where's OG Carol gone? Did we delete her? There we go. We've got to have something to compare it to, so we can see the before and after. I'm hungry already. What's wrong with me? I had lunch the second before I went live and I'm already rumbly tummy. I'm a monster. I'm a beast who has to eat constantly. Yeah, I'm really loving HD Carol the more I'm looking at her. I must say at first I was like, whoa, this is strange, because I was just so used to the OG Carol. I was just so used to looking at this Carol, so it was weird. But the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking, you know, the potential with this Carol is just so much more. We can do so much more with this Carol. Mainly the eyes. It's just the eyes that have really changed, with just a pixel dot for a nose. But eyes just do so much when it comes to expressions. Yeah, what I had something in. Oh yeah, the lips. We says we could potentially add a bit of definition to the lips, just a bit of difference in colour. So I'm going to just experiment with that before we move on to other expressions. Now, I believe we need a light bit, like on the bottom lip. That might be what we need, just a highlight. So now this particular highlight might be too subtle, but I'm lightening it by 10. So we'll see how it looks. Or would it be the lowest or the higher one that we'd highlight? I think it'd be that part. My gut tells me. But I think we need it a little lighter than that. Oh my gosh, I'm doing it on all the wrong layers. So we've just added a small highlight. Maybe we should make it a touch less saturated. See how it looks then. Now for the closed mouth, I think it would be on the bottom one, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's added quite a bit, I think. It's just made her lips have more, they're not just flat anymore. I think I might just slightly darken it by a tiny bit. I think the saturation level works fine though. Beautiful. What a beautiful barrel. She definitely looks very peed off. She looks like a Sunday. I'm wondering something actually. Just gonna try out something small. Don't know if this will work, but I'm attempting to just darken her. I want to obviously keep them grey, but I'm curious what the contrast could look like if they were just a touch darker. One sec. We'll compare the before and after and then make our decision in a bit. Maybe that's too dark. Maybe I just want it a little bit lighter. I mean a little bit darker. We'll say. I'm just lowering the darkness levels by like 5. So it's not that drastic. So what was it before? Yeah, maybe it's a touch too dark. Somewhere in between the two, I'm thinking. Or maybe it's just the left side that I feel needs a teeny bit more darkness on it. Oops. We'll keep her like how she was for now. Okay. Oh yeah, we gotta do the lips of the other ones. That's the only problem when you realise there's a little tiny bit that needs changing. Then you're like, oh gosh, we gotta do all the other variations. So before we get super into all the expressions, we've got to make sure we're all right with what we've got so that we don't have too much to edit. It's only small bits, like the lips. There. So obviously now there's a lot of places to update Carol's assets. We've got this OG Carol absolutely everywhere, not just in the game, of course, on her sprite sheet here, but on the website screenshots, on the press kit banner section, on the lore Bible. So I'm not going to immediately be working on updating Carol because there's still the other barrel crew to do, so it'll look odd if we've updated her but not the others. So that banner will stay the same for a while, and at some point I'll just overhaul all the screenshots with the new versions. At some point, as long as I do it before I submit the Steam page. Cutie note, Fantasia. Okay. I think there was one more thing I wanted to try with Carol. I wanted to see how she'd look. With just the black pixel replacing the brown on her eyelash. I think that works because it makes her look a little bit more glam, like it's an eyelash. So it just increases her femininity a little. And it's not much of a change, you can barely tell the difference, but it's good. Okay, so I think that's it. We don't even need this version now because it's the same as that one. Should have deleted that before. Hey, where's the eyes? Did I delete that? No, they're there. But what I'm going to do instead, I'm actually going to delete this version because we've changed it a bit since then. Delete that too. Going to get those ready then. We're going to put those assets there now. So we're gonna just get an eyebrows raised, slightly less angry version of Carol now. And then we'll do the way less angry version of her, like when her eyes are a little bit more rounded and softer, which will be the face that she'll have when she falls in love with you or becomes a really good friend and companion of yours, depending on what route you go. And it probably wouldn't be a face that we'll use until a future episode for Carol, because I think Sundial style Carol is going to be consistent in episode 1, Roots and Rumours. There could be a slight softening of her, like she'll stop calling you flashback and she'll start being somewhat less hostile to you. There'll be a little bit of respect gained from the start of Roots and Rumours throughout the rest of the course of the episode, but we're not going to see any significant softening in character changes in Carol until a bit later on in a future episode. And that's only if you go for a certain hero type. If you go down the evil or roguish hero path and you're a bit of a scoundrel, you're not gonna potentially have a great relationship with Carol. In fact, she might abandon you and leave you with nowhere to store your inventory, and you'll have to find a new inventory. That was something we talked about as a plot point a while ago, and we all loved it because it was just so what the freak moment. It was like, yeah, unexpected. People would be like, no, she's coming back, she's not left, Carol can't lead the game. But that wouldn't be until mid-game or mid-end game. Because we have some ideas of plot points for those parts, like, you know, mid-game plot points, like that's something we've discussed now and again. Although it's just very vague right now, I think it's very useful to somewhat plot things out, so there's a slight skeleton there for the main plot. But of course, as this is such a years-long project, oh, what's happened to Ellipse? As this is such a years-long project, those parts of the game are not going to be completely like revealed or figured out or seen until a long time at this point. Yeah, what's happened? Let's bring those lips back. What did I do to them? They're there now, but the problem is I've got rid of the old one. Oh no. I know what to do. Get a history brush and just get them back. I can't find them. I'll just have to copy and paste them. That's all I can do from this one. Oh, Pullet fell off her now. She looks quite strange, doesn't she? Without her lips. I mean, what emotion would that be of Carol? When she's realised that she was wrong and needs to be quiet and shut up. That's that Carol. Thin-lipped Carol. There we go. My hair's out my plaits. I thought coming out a little. I think it's because my hair's all floofy because it was actually wet. I'd literally just washed my hair just before I went live, so I put them in plaits to stop my hair just dripping all over the place. But it's all gone floofy and it's all coming out. There we go. Okay, where were we? Because we got distracted by the chopping off of Carol's lip. Oh yes, we were raising her eyebrows a bit. Because this is actually how the default eyebrows are positioned on the other characters. There's actually a pixel gap between the eyelid and the eyebrow by default. So I see this face as Carol's relaxed, non-angry face. I mean, it's the sort of expression that isn't necessarily relaxed. It even could be seen as surprised, slightly surprised, right? Maybe because the mouth is open and you can see her teeth, and that can kind of give the impression of a slightly startled face. So in fact, yes. Startled and surprised? Is that how you spell startled? Because it's only a slightly surprised. I wouldn't say it's like, oh my gosh, kind of surprised. Because one thing that we do need is an expression for when Duncan appears. That was something that was missing in that scene you saw last stream that I posted in the Discord for the poll vote. The scene is missing the moment when Carol expresses surprise. It's the human appearing, being like, what's that ruckus? She's gonna have a surprise startled face. So maybe a slightly more shocked variation of that would be perfect for that. But I'm super excited at how many more different face expressions we're going to get out of this for Carol and the rest of the barrel crew. I'm going to just save this PSD because I haven't yet. New HD Carol Sprite. There. Whoa, I'm so hungry. Someone feed me. Give me food through my screen. I need snacks. Far less angry. Okay, let's try doing a read. Even though this face isn't gonna be seen for the very far future, and a less angry Carol, I'm very, very intrigued by how a less angry Carol will look. So let's just do it. Let's experiment. I don't even know if less angry Carol would have her teeth showing. I feel like part of the reason why we've settled on the teeth being visible for Carol's default is because it looks like she's, what's the word? Snarling? You know, when people are angry, they show their teeth, don't they? So, I'm going to give her a closed mouth for this version and see what that looks like. Needs to be up one. Eat more food, Rex's screen. Yeah, Rex, give me some food through your screen. I don't even know if Rex has food himself, though. I'm usually the one with the chocolate stash in our relationship. Okay, so to make a non-angry Carol face, the thing that makes characters look angry and people look angry is that slant, you see, that downward slant of the eye. So I'm just attempting to round off and soften the eye a little, but not so that Carol does, so it still looks like Carol though. So we'll just have a play around and see. because we don't want it to look like a completely different person altogether. So that one there, she's kind of lost the eyebrow angry expression a little. I wouldn't say she looks a little less angry there. I don't think it's quite finished though. But you know, like from our mood board, every angry character on this mood board has those eyebrows. A lot of them do anyway. So it's not working. Oh no. Do you have snacks? Do you actually have them on you? Genuinely? We broke Rex. So I'm going to just try a bit more experimentation with this. I'm also just rounding her eyes at the bottom. I don't know if that'll work. Actually, I think it does. Just makes her look a bit softer. Getting rid of that pointy edge. Because the reason I think it works so well to have that is because it really it makes her eyes look square, isn't it? So that square edge can really enhance the fierceness. But like getting rid of that softens her a bit more, which works well for a slightly non-angry Carol. One thing, let me just check the reference of the... Yeah, a eye highlight needs to be higher. The eye highlight of these two is literally the highest point of the colour in the eye. So let's just do that, because I thought something looked strange. And now I know what it is. It needs to be higher. Something looks weird still. Ah yeah, she needs to have just a tiny dark part there so that it doesn't look like a complete square. There. No, not that. Not quite that dark. No, it's still a bit dark. It needs to be quite a light, like darker than the white, but not so dark that it completely makes her eye look too dark. Okay, so that shade might be fine. I don't know if we need the oh, I know what's different. I thought something looked weird. That was it. There was an extra pixel there that shouldn't have been. No, actually that pixel should have been there. It was the other eye that looked strange. I think. I don't think it's quite perfect, but you get the gist of it, right? She has slightly less angry eyes, but it needs a little bit of messing around, I think, so that the eyes actually look right. I know. And we need to lighten them a touch at the bottom so they look like... Because these two girls have a light section at the bottom and Carol doesn't, so I think that's what's missing. The reason that I didn't give her a light section is because it works on her angry sprites not to have that section. But when she's not angry, probably will work better not to have a little bit of a light bit at the bottom. Don't know if that's too light though, we might need to darken it just a bit. Because Carol I don't think has like super bright eyes or anything. She's still, okay, see that. Hi Timmy, how you doing? I've seen that angry faces have sharp angles and happy faces are more round. Yeah, it's definitely something I've picked up on as well, and like looking at expressions for references. Like I've got this mood board. I think doing a mood board's really helpful because you can pick up on shapes, you know, with and that's really what we need to do. With pixel art, just one pixel can really make a difference, so it's all about shapes when it comes to this sort of work. But I see a difference. There's something bothering me about her eyes, and I still think the light doesn't look right. I think what it is, the slightly lighter green blends too much with her barrel colour and it bothers me a bit. So that's why she has darker green eyes. I think it might just look weird because seeing Carol not look angry is just jarring in itself. But she definitely looks calm there. I've still given her that extra white pixel, and I'm not sure yet whether we should do that for her. I haven't made my mind up. I'm probably going to mess around and have a play. She looks okay. I think I want to make this section of the barrel just this grey bit because it's a bit distracting to see just a random light pixel there under the brow. So I might just colour that in, and same for all the other ones as well. Well, you can't notice it on the others because the brow's in the way, but on the versions where her eyebrows raised, you can notice it. But it looks great, so good job so far. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. I definitely feel I'm making the right decision by giving Carol the glow up. When you look at her compared to our original Carol, it's just better, isn't it? Nothing against original. I've still got a place in my heart for her because she's the one we've had all this time. But you know, we can just get super varied with expressions and detail on these new eyes. Like, you know, there's no way we would have been able to change that this more angry looking eye shape to a softer one so subtly with that version. Okay, we'll just call that less angry. Right, so we've thought about a slightly less angry face. I think we can even go a little bit, you know, more extreme with this and go for a sort of loved up face eventually as well. If you do romance her, there's going to be a chance to have a variety of expressions over time, but what we ultimately need to focus on most of all is those angry faces, because episode 1 is Carol is going to have her most Sunday energy in episode 1. So that is really why we've got the angry mood board here, so we can get inspired and get some of those angry faces down, so we can spend the rest of the stream having a little go of that, and see what we can end up with. But there's one thing I wanted to try out. I wanted to see what she looks like with her eyes facing left, just like that Sprite, because in the opening scene you are on the left side of Carol as you jump out of her, so it only makes sense to have a pose where her eyes are facing that direction, because that's more of a face front view. Like she'd have this face when she's looking straight at you, which is perfect for scene 3, when she confronts you and faces your head front on. I thought in the scene we've done so far, we've got that, and it just doesn't look right when she's facing us from the front with her eyes in that position. But it was almost impossible to have them look any way else. If we moved the pixel by right one, they'd be facing right. We couldn't get them centered without reducing some of the green, and then it just looked strange with her pupil being small or too big. So this is just, I'm super happy that I've decided to just do a complete overhaul rather than end up limited with the graphics we had. And I'm glad you guys are pleased with the change as well, because I was definitely keen on saving this for today's stream, because I wanted to, get the feedback and overall opinion of what the new Carol looked like. And now I know that we're going ahead with it, I can continue spending the rest of the week getting these expressions done and getting them in scene 1 and 3. And I'm super, it's certainly dragged on, the scene making has, than what I expected it to. I expected us to be onto the battle stuff by now, in all honesty, but I'm not too bothered, in all honesty, that it's taken longer, because it's all about the polishing, and you get a better quality game from spending time just improving things, I see it as. And I think the recent decisions since we've started working on the scenes has been pretty cool. The addition of the talking animated mouths, the more detailed sprites, the sound effects. I think it's all good stuff. And Carol is just more waifu than ever now. So let's just copy and paste that. I could flatten these faces to the barrel, but I don't want to, because it's nice to have the option to not, to move the features around and delete features without accidentally deleting the barrel. Okay, so let's see how this will look. I need to figure out whether I think that face is fine to have the highlight there, but that one makes more sense having the highlight higher, because obviously the eyes have raised. So I don't think we need to change the position here. It would look weird if we did, because then it wouldn't be in line. Okay. If we look at Rex's character, let's get him up as an example, because he actually has the same eyes as Carol. Well, his eyes, we've based Carol's eyes on the same shape as what Rex's eyes are. And yeah, it's kind of similar. I'd say Carol's eyes are just slightly longer. I think there's an extra pixel line for Carol. But the shape is similar. The best character, but I could be biased, yes, it's going to be fun to see him make his appearance in Main Quest 4 of episode 1, because Main Quest 4 is our cave segment of the game. We've got a roadmap up on our Trello here, folks, in case you're curious, like what we'll be doing and when. It's a rough roadmap. Cave area Main Quest 4 is it looks to be a plan for version 0.3 build, and that'll be the build where we make the cave area of Everbloom and make the reptile habitat and families and groups of NPCs, because the second playable build is going to be more of a focus on expanding the expansion of Lakefall and making the rest of the human NPCs in Lakefall, as well as Main Quest 3 and the story plot of Main Quest 3, which will eventually lead us into the cave. The Main Quest 3 is like the downtime part, where we kind of chilling Lakefall, talk to NPCs, figure out what to do next, recruit either the herbalist or the diplomat, and decide if we're going to disguise ourselves as reptiles or go for the more diplomatic option and be just ourselves. And then it's all going to be super fun. I'm excited to sort of think about that a bit more at some point too. And as I was saying earlier, I'm looking at doing some more world building streams more often. Things like talking about wildlife in Everbloom, like what sort of creatures will be sort of around, because we're very empty of wildlife right now. We don't have any apart from the sprites that we have as actual enemies that you fight. But I was thinking of kind of blending the two together, you know, whatever you fight, the living creatures of the forest as well as other animals would kind of be the enemies in general anyway. Some would, you know, be aggro to you because they'd be seen as enemies, but some might be passive that you just wander around that you don't necessarily have to kill. That's something to think about a bit more when we have our battles as well, which battle talk and battle mechanics is the next task after the scene work for Main Quest 1 and 2. So we're not actively thinking about that just yet, but it's on the cards for, I think, thinking about things like the creatures and that around the area will be something to think about at the same time as when we start doing the battles again. Cute bunnies here, yeah, those are definitely, I could imagine those being passive, non-aggro enemies that wouldn't necessarily fight you, but maybe you'd have the option to kill them, but that would break my heart. But you know, loot and things, people might need bunny hide for something, I don't know. That's another thing, items. So we've really not discussed items yet because I don't like to put too much on my solo developer shoulders, because then if you've got too many things going on, you start to like not make progress properly because you're doing too much at once. But the time will come when we start to think about things like that. But it's not going to be too heavy focused on features and that side of thing really this year, because we're just getting the base, the foundation of Roots and Rumours main quests in, the story driven scenes of the game at this point in time. Oh yeah, what we were in the middle of doing. And one thing, I mean, talking about wildlife, because that got brought up as a potential thing for world building streams, I would really love to think of unique animal names, so that bunnies, if we have bunnies for example, were called something else in this world, something cute and like something that's very fitting that makes you think, yeah, that could easily be a bunny, but is something different, a bit like how Final Fantasy do it, Chocobo for example. They don't call it a chicken, you know, they call, or a bird, they just call it a chocobo. So I'd love to do that. I think there's a potential to be really creative and shortlist some really awesome names and polls and things like that for those kind of streams. Another thing world building stream idea was a calendar, like thinking of how our calendar would be, seasons, what our seasons names would be, what the month names would be, months of the year, festival celebrations, like what the names for holidays would be, and things like that. And it would just, we could just be very rough and vague about it right now and flesh it out over time. And the other thing is the pantheon, the gods of the world, which have kind of been already revealed very subtly in the game, in the scene with the barrels, the flashback scene that was the subject of conversation. So that's another thing as well. Comparing a chocobo to a chicken made me laugh. Well, that's kind of close to what they are. I was thinking, yeah, what bird would a chocobo be? A little cute chick. The little baby chocobos look like little adorable yellow chicks, don't they, anyway? Right, so just move everything across by one. I think that's probably the way to do it. And just have more white here. Whoa, she's gonna look a little bit cross-eyed right now. We're just experimenting to see if it looks okay when she looks left, because that's absolutely vital. That's the pose we need for her in the opening scene when you jump out of her, because you're at the left side of her. So might need a slight edit. So it doesn't look too strange. I think we accidentally got rid of the highlight, didn't we? No, I don't know if that should have been messed with. I've moved everything along by 1 pixel to the left of the greens of her eyes, so it does give the impression she's looking left now, but as you can see, it looks very rough. The eyes kind of need, there's a few missing pixel gaps, so we'll just fill them in a touch to how it's supposed to look. So we don't want the shape of the eye to change drastically or anything like that. We don't want to mess with it really, so let's just see the difference. Because I think the thing that's missing and looks weird is this white pixel here. That shouldn't be there. So that should be that, I think. Yep. I think other than that, yeah, that's very close. Like, as you can see, it's only the eyes shifting. So I'm going to keep that then. I'm going to name that layer Carol face eyes left. And that's something that eventually we'll be doing for the other NPCs as well, like, because in certain scenes it's more realistic if it looks like they're looking at whoever's talking, if they're standing that, like in that direction or that direction, and if they're just staring straight into space, it can kind of give the impression that they're just like they're not really alive, they're just a character that's just a cardboard cutout. So I'm very keen on making the sprites as lifelike and animated as possible. So things like having their eyes look at you, whatever direction you're standing in, is things I'm very keen on doing and making sure I've included, because it just can add so much to a scene, make it feel more real. So we've got a left facing one there, and we'd probably do a right facing one for her as well. But really, that one is the closest to the OG Carol, and that's the real before and after, considering original Carol was looking left as well. I think she definitely looks more pretty now. I think she looks pretty, which is great. Because I think my only concern with this glow up today was, oh no, what if she looks less waifu? But she doesn't. Yeah, that's better. Cool. I like her. Save. So we've got the facing left one. I'm glad that works, because I was thinking, oh, what if she doesn't look right if she's facing left, but she actually does. So that's good. I think because there's just so much more room and space with these eyes, I think there's no way to fail, really, as long as you do it properly. Right, angry face, oh my goodness. Should we just quickly have a little try of a few things before we leave today? We'll have an experiment, see what an angry Carol could potentially be like. Angry. I mean, she already looks angry by default, but we're gonna stretch it more. Super angry. So we'll use this face as oops, copied the wrong thing. Why have we got this weird lip line? It's very strange. Must have a layer there that shouldn't be there. Alright. Oh, why have I got the closed mouth one? I want the non-closed mouth one. There we go. So many layers, so much confusion. Right, let's just have a quick glance at the mood board. See what we can do. I love the idea of, I really love the guy with the smoke coming out of his ears. I think that's great. I'm really inspired by that and tempted to have one. Like, you know, when Carol stomps, like there's a lot of times she stomps, she jumps, and it's like her throwing a tantrum. Having like a sort of similar effect come out of her back of her. It might be challenging to pull off, but I'm still very intrigued by it. Another one we could do is a larger mouth, like slightly open even more. One where she's like really like frowning sort of mouth, like a down-faced mouth, a slightly down-turned mouth, a bit like this one here. The white eye ones are interesting as well. Thank you so much for that follow, by the way, Gan. I appreciate that. I heard there was an RPG game being made here. Oh, really? Where did you hear this from? That's really cool. That's super cool. Welcome. I'm glad you've stopped by. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Today, anyone coming in, Gan or anybody else, we have made the very ambitious decision of giving a glow up to our main character, Sprite. She's now in HD. She originally looked like this, and now she looks like this. She's very similar, just larger eyes, really. And I've purposely made the proportion of the features match with the rest of the cast, the human characters, humanoid even. And it's much better now, because thinking about it, this old Carol really wasn't consistent with the rest of the cast in terms of facial proportions, but it didn't really matter too much because she's a barrel. She's not even like anybody else. So it wasn't a big deal, but I feel like this is better and the best route to go. That makes the most sense. And I'm very curious what she'd look like on a human head, if I'm honest. I'm tempted to say, let's have a look. Let's see what human Carol would look like out of just pure curiosity. Shall we? I was going to do an angry face, but I'm thinking of just things like making either a mouth larger or more like mad, making her have white eyes or red eyes even, and just things like that. We'll see. I know I want to exaggerate some of the expressions though, that's for sure. Okay, so that's in line. I want to see what she looks like with the open mouth on a human. I've got about a bazillion layers here. Okay, so we have to obviously recolour the brown of the barrel. Let's let's oh damn, we need eyes that are the same colour as this complexion. Let's copy and paste these eyes. Just too curious to not do this. You were in my recommended channels. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. And yes, we do make an RPG here. And if anybody, if you or anybody else are curious to find out more, we do have a website. Though, just a warning, the images and trailer and screenshots that we have up at present are outdated. We have given everything a bit of a slight revamp since the last posting. We are in pre-alpha build, so that can still happen all the time. The sprites are now taller. They're not small, tiny little sprites anymore. The sprites have been made more detailed, and there's a few little other changes too. So we got to just colour in around the eye in human skin colour. There's human Carol. What the hell? She looks so mad. But it works. It doesn't look impossible. It's all in proportion. She looks like one angry lady on the human face, that's for sure. Let's have a look what she looks like with the lips closed as well. I'm doing this out of curiosity because one of the goals was to actually get her face to be more proportion with the rest of the cast now. Actually, and the lips, I did it wrong. Well, the colour's wrong. The highlight shouldn't be in the centre. That should be at the bottom. And that should be like that. There we go. Eyebrows help a lot with angry faces. Also, the mouth, they do indeed. I'm kind of happy that I saw that and I tested that out on a human face because I was so curious how she'd look. And she definitely does still have. She has the perfect energy. She has that really, like, she is not one to be messed with kind of face. That's for sure. So, hooray. I think we've nailed it. I think we've got the perfect Carol now. And I'm very, very intrigued to see what the rest of the barrel cast is going to look like. There's a lore Bible here, everybody. That is linked on the website. But the rest of the cast are here for anyone who's new popping in today and hasn't seen them before. So, as you can see, old Carol is here. And here's her companions, her family. So they will be getting a glow up as well in the coming weeks before the Steam Coming Soon page gets launched. I want them all to be done by then because it won't make sense to have the one of Carol but not the others. It'll look odd. So the only one on here who's not going to change is Oliver, the yellow cookie jar, because he's a toddler or very young child even. So, you know, he hasn't even formed human-like features yet. So he'd still have his little cute ooh face. Makes me curious what baby barrels would look like, you know. Probably the same as Oliver, except with the smaller in size. Woody probably wouldn't have much of a change because out of all the characters, his eyes are the closest to the sly looking eye set that got made. They'd probably just be widened by 1 pixel, his eyes, but there wouldn't be much of a change other than that. Because he has to keep those sneaky carman salesman, sly looking sleazy eyes. So yeah, just wanted to let peeps see those in case anyone's popping by and doesn't know what the rest of the gang look like. But this is really exciting. Like the last, that for a long time we've been focusing on giving things a bit of a revamp and introducing things that are going to just bring the scenes more to life. And it's I'm very happy with the changes. So I've got a big list of things to do. My to-do list is here. So one thing I am going to have to do is update the Carol Sprite, because we've still got the old ones in. So this is her Sprite sheet, so all these will need a new face adding to it, which isn't really too much of a tough job in all honesty, because we've already got the face. It's just a copy and paste job. We just get her face layer and just replace it with the one that's coming there. And we'll have to do the one from the side as well. Have to do a side face position, I've just realised, because that'll need an update as well. But it shouldn't be too difficult to do. And yeah, I'm excited. So next stream will be Thursday. And I'm not exactly 100% sure what we'll be doing then, but we'll see. So thanks for hanging out with me today, everybody, and for the kind words and for loving the Sprite. And it makes me pleased that we're going in that direction. So have one last look at her, everybody. It'll be the last time you see her for a bit, unless you look at the VOD, of course. But I'm going to head straight off today, everyone. I'm going to actually do a trivia just very quickly, but I'm not going to do a raid today. I've got to rush off for Digdens and get a snack because I'm hungry. And I'm finishing later than usual lately. I like to finish more on 6 so we have time to do a raid. But because I've been starting streams a bit later, I like to extend them to make up for the lost time. To find her family. Yes, so points Van to the 1. There we go. You're going to be the Lore Master of the Month again, Van, which we've still got another week left. Well, we've only got 1 day left actually of the month. So Carol looks amazing. Yay. Yeah, she looks so different now. The eyes just make so much difference, right? And if anyone missed it, out of pure curiosity, I wanted to see how she looked on a human face. That's what she looks like. I mean, we've got the cheeks on this one, and I'm not sure whether they fit, because they're kind of coming off the edge, but how good is that face, right? Okay, everybody, so I'm gonna head straight off. Yay! I'll see you on Thursday, everybody, and I'm looking forward to doing whatever's next to do on the list. So take care, and I hope you have a wonderful week, everybody. You're the best. Bye bye.